Hello there, and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit. The man seated next to me, well, this poor guy was born with a wooden leg, and his name is Mike Roth.
Yeah, well, my father was a tree.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was a great oak.
Great oak.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there was a fire.
This is getting very tragic.
I still have a wooden leg. It's crazy.
That's good.
Yeah. Puberty, it was terrible to start sprouting, but we're not going to get into that.
What the hell's going on around here? I love it. All right, so this week was an interesting week. Since last week we talked about Baywatch. Really, at the marquee this week, there was just the one movie then, Pirates of the Caribbean. But we also have some fun this week. We have a streaming spotlight for you for a movie that just came out on Netflix. And we have a fun list at the end of the show, so you want to stick around for all of that. But first, let's take a look at what's on the marquee. Mike, what you got?
Well, the main one, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Johnny Depp is back for the 5th installment of the Pirates of the Caribbean series. Johnny Depp starts off as pretty much a pirate without a ship. Nothing more sad than that. His crew still stands behind him, and they go into bank robbery, which was a silly scene. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later.
It felt like a Fast and the Furious movie.
It really did, but we'll get into that in a second. And a curse is kind of lifted in a way where some old pirate hunters that Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow, sent to their doom early on in his career, they're able to escape their clutches and go on to a pirate killing spree, all going ultimately towards Jack Sparrow.
Ooh.
Only thing that could really stop this is if we get the thing called the Trident, the Poseidon Trident,
right.
And for some reason everybody has a curse or something that they need to deal with.
Everyone needs it.
So everybody is like, yeah, we're gonna hang out with Jack Sparrow. We're gonna get this Trident and solve all our problems. Javier
Bardem, yeah.
Is Captain Salazar as the pirate hunter, Spanish pirate hunter, and I think he did a fantastic job.
He's a great actor.
Yeah. Still, his character was a little undershadowed by some of the older Pirates of the Caribbean. Right.
Barbossa's back.
Yeah. How did you feel about this movie? I don't need to go much into the plot. The Pirates of the Caribbean aren't really known for their plot.
Great storylines.
It's made for swashbuckling fun, a lot of visuals, a lot of CG and action.
Slapstick fun going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it was interesting because you have, Will Turner's son, Henry, trying to lift the curse on, his old man, Orlando Bloom.
Yeah.
So he's going after the Trident.
Yeah.
You have Barbossa trying to get the Trident.
Yeah.
You have Salazar needing the Trident. You have Johnny Depp getting the Trident. The movie kind of turns into Cannonball Run.
Yeah.
Where everyone's going after the same thing, and they're probably going to meet at the same time.
And we have that, Karina Smith?
Karina.
Who has a little twist.
She's got her own story going on.
And she's looking for the Trident also.
And the movie is a lot of sea myths and a lot of people making accords with each other.
Yes.
Like, okay, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Here we go. I'll make an accord. You don't kill me. We'll go after him.
And it all just revolves around pretty much.
We got to get Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
We got to make him dead.
Yep.
And we need the Trident.
Yep.
And then all curses will be lifted.
Yep. And it will be great. Well, that's going to make it really hard for all the other, because that's pretty much every single movie.
It's curses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of weird because it felt really kind of over the top slapsticky to me.
Oh yeah, that first scene that I said we'd talk
the bank
about.
Robbery.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the introduction to him, it was a fun introduction to Jack Sparrow again.
But during the entire time, it's like Fast and the Furious. You're like, no way, a team of 6 horses
are dragging a vault through the streets.
Yeah, that's over.
Not a vault, the building with the vault.
Yeah, you have this, they're talking about this vault that weighs over a ton. Jack Sparrow happens to be in it with the banker's wife.
Right.
And of course, it's too heavy for them to drag it through the building.
But
so the whole building, a 2-story building and a 1-ton safe, plus all the other things you would find in a 2-story building on a high-speed chase with 6 horses through a town.
Absolutely. It did. It felt like Fast 5 to me, where they're driving
really
through the town with the vault on the back.
Yeah, it's I think they went through a little bit of extremes. Fast and Furious, you could scoff a little bit at, yeah, that's never going to happen, but it's fun. But this time I'm like, come on, show another horse. You got to give me at least maybe 10 horses. I don't know what 10 horses could do, but 6 horses?
So here's my thing. My thing with these Pirates movies is, for the most part, I think that these Pirates movies as a franchise are kind of interchangeable and kind of forgettable. Like, I can forget which one's which.
Yeah.
Because the plot never matters, really.
No.
And they kind of reset, and you know, it doesn't seem like the stakes ever mean anything. So, I mean, this movie kind of fell into that same thing for me. It was hard for me to, like, get up. Like, it was enjoyable. There were some beautiful shots.
Yeah, and
there was also some kind of wonky effects in here, too.
Yeah.
Especially with Salazar, it felt like some of the times the effects with him were a little rough.
That sounds weird. I like what they did with his hair, where it was flowing around and stuff. But the effects of Salazar is a ghost, and his entire crew are ghosts. And the way they died was through a terrible explosion, and the whole CG of it was, you would see just bits and pieces of where the pirate would have been with burnt out edges, and that
it didn't work all the time.
No, that didn't work all the time.
Right.
But they did go pretty much Pirates of the Caribbean is scene of something cool or something interesting, and they had some really cool things. I love the zombie sharks.
Sure, zombie sharks are always fun.
Those were fun.
Paul McCartney shows up in the movie.
That was fun. I actually thought that was a great character he played.
It was kind of cool.
He kind of acted well for that little bit.
Not bad. You get a young Johnny Depp in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. Like I say, though, like, most of these movies are just completely forgettable to me. You can ask me in 3 years, like, which one was your favorite? Like, I don't know. They all blend together.
Yeah.
There's the first one, and then the rest of them all kind of bleed together.
There's that one really cool scene. I can't tell you what movie that's from.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, like, for me, I don't know. What do you think? Do you have any other thoughts on Pirates?
Well, when it comes down to, like, the personal relationships, I thought that was lame. I really didn't care about Bootstrap Turner's kid or all these. I mean, they're supposed to have a major plot line, but everything in Pirates of the Caribbean really does revolve around Captain Jack Sparrow. That's what brings people there. And like you said, scenes, beautiful shots, great imagination when you're making a pirate movie. I love the feel. I like the action. But the relationships between characters, the plot, all that stuff really stinks. It really does. It's really bad. Yeah. But
did you have fun?
I had fun. Well, I had a lot of fun. You go from scene to scene, and you're like, oh, that's really cool. The pirates are running on the water. Oh, zombie sharks. Oh, yeah, the 6-team horse thing bugged me. But I'm okay with that. And the guillotine scene where the guillotine, and it's like, oh, you know, the physics of that doesn't really work out. But damn, that was really cool. That was really cool.
So ultimately, what did you give the Pirates of the Caribbean?
I gave it a 3.5. I thought it was fun. I don't think it was great. Mm-hmm. I liked it. I'm glad I went. I'll forget what scenes these go into later on in life, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I kind of feel the same way with you, but for me, I gave it 2.5 stars, which is what a kind of forgettable movie really gets from me. It's kind of what I would give the majority of the franchise. Is like, that's all right.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm not mad at it.
No.
It's just not, it doesn't do a whole lot for me. As soon as I walk out of the theater, I have fun in the theater. I walk out, I go, I don't know, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies where I go, look, if you enjoy this, you'll probably love it.
Yeah.
For me, it's just kind of blah. So that's where it lands.
I'm really not going to argue with it.
Yeah.
I loved how it looked, but it's.
I agree. So the next thing we have is, since we only had the one movie on the marquee, there was a big movie that came onto Netflix recently. Well, maybe, I don't know if it's a big movie, but it starred a big star.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt has signed a deal to put out some movies through Netflix. So we are going to go with a streaming spotlight this week for a movie that just dropped onto Netflix called War Machine, starring Brad Pitt. It's strange to see a star of his caliber in a direct-to-Netflix movie.
Yeah.
But this is becoming a thing now as Netflix becomes bigger and bigger.
You kind of noticed that in the 90s when a lot of big-name movie actors started going into TV because TV is where it's at. But now it's getting where the internet is where it's
big.
at.
So what War Machine is it is a movie based on the events of General Stanley McChrystal. And it is based off a Rolling Stone article called Runaway General. And the events of Stanley McChrystal is he was the general of the armies and NATO in Afghanistan and Iraq, and famously kind of publicly went out against President Obama when Obama talked about drawing down the troops at some point, giving a deadline of when he was going to withdraw. And General McChrystal kind of publicly to a Rolling Stones reporter said, "That's stupid. That's dumb. I'm going to continue to fight the war my way. I don't care." And then he was relieved of his duties because you just can't do that publicly.
No.
And so this movie it's based on this. He's a different name. His name is General Glenn McMahon, but it is all the events. And it's a satire. It tries to parody almost, but it tries to satirize the actual events that led to this. And you've got a kind of fun cast. You've got, obviously Brad Pitt, Anthony Michael Hall as his right-hand man Pulver, Topher Grace as his one of his specialists, R.J. Seiler, who we know from Me and Earl and the Dying Girl and Power Rangers, is in it. He's a lot of fun as always. Sir Ben Kingsley is in this, and it's weird because it is very much a satire, but it's a satire with very little humor.
Oh, that's terrible.
And it's a war movie without any real war in it. It's a drama without any real strong drama because it is a satire. It feels like a movie with no moorings keeping it down to let you know what it's trying to do. And Brad Pitt is making this choice that he's made recently where he tries to use this accent that feels like someone foreign to America trying to do an American accent and failing. He's trying desperately, and it leads to just these really awkward situations where, are you going over the top with this accent, or are you trying to channel something? Because I can't tell if you're trying to act be a performer or be silly with this accent.
Well, it seems like to me Brad Pitt has been doing more than his fair share of war movies, and maybe he didn't want
now in a short span.
Yeah,
with Inglorious Bastards, Fury, Allied, and War Machine, just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably
normally
not
he loves fighting Nazis. This time he is fighting Taliban.
Yeah, but maybe he's just thinking, I can't do the same guy for all my war movies. Let's put in a weird accent.
Yeah, it was real strange. And one of the really jarring things for me was, first off, this movie is over 2 hours long, and it feels all of those 2 hours. It does not need to be this long.
Which is kind of weird for satire also.
Yeah, exactly. Secondly, is you have Scoot McNairy narrating over the top of the movie, and there's something to be said for, if you're going to have a narration, to not just use the narration to tell me things that you should be showing me. And they use that a lot. He has this a lot of dialogue that's very colorful, beautiful prose talking about describing General McMahon and describing his emotions and describing what he does. They never show me any of this. So I'm just like, okay, so I guess Scoot McNairy's telling me that this is something, but in 2 hours, you think you'd show me some of this.
Yeah.
And they don't. And it's kind of a lot of the same scenes kind of running over and over and over again. It feels very repetitive. The only time I really enjoyed it is when Anthony Michael Hall, he's really a hothead in this movie, and he just blows up. And there's several scenes where he just can't take it anymore, and he explodes, and that's a lot of fun.
Okay.
But R.J. Seiler was good, and it felt like a movie that really didn't know where it wanted to go, had this interesting story, and just, like I said, it's satire with no humor is not a good time.
Do you think it could have been cut down, or do you think they just
I think it could have been. It felt like it was really struggling in the middle. I think you could have really cut a half hour out of the middle, streamlined a little bit, cut the narration out, and had a little better movie. But still, Brad Pitt's choice was a little weird. His choice of how to come at this character was a little strange. So ultimately, for War Machine, I gave it 2 stars, 2 out of 5.
Oh.
It's not terrible, but it's not good. And it's kind of a real misstep for him.
Well, I really didn't like him in a couple other movies.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. It's interesting, but it leads us to the list that we were talking about, because with movies starring Brad Pitt and Johnny Depp this week that we're talking about, both of those guys, their careers oddly are kind of similar to me in my mind, because both of them came into Hollywood as pretty faces and really fought against that stereotype early on to show that they had acting chops.
Yeah.
And lately, both have been making some really odd choices, but they both have taken on a lot of diverse, meaty roles.
Out of all the actors in Hollywood, those are two that really stick out as people who strive to be a character. There's a lot of people who are great actors, but you could tell Clint Eastwood is Clint Eastwood in every single movie. These guys go out of their way to change how they look, how they act. Sometimes failing, but a lot of times I think they're hitting it.
But they go for it.
Yeah, they go for it.
And they overcame the pretty boy labels that they came into Hollywood with.
Yeah.
It worked for their advantage for a while, but they didn't just rest on that. And they perfected, they honed their craft. So we are going to talk about our top 5 favorite Depp and Pitt best performances.
Yeah.
Now, this is a list that combines the two. Our best, not necessarily the best movies, because there's a couple on here that are movies that aren't like at the top of my list for their movies, but their roles are great.
Yeah, they're great characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to combine our favorite Depp and Pitt best performances. I'm going to start it off this time.
All right.
Normally I make you start. I'm going to start this time. And my number 5 is a role from Johnny Depp, one of his early roles that really kind of made me sit up and go, hey, this ain't the 21 Jump Street guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's got something going on. And I'm talking about when he played Gilbert Grape in the film What's Eating Gilbert Grape. He was kind of overshadowed in this movie by Leonardo DiCaprio, a very young Leonardo, playing an incredible role as Arnie, his younger brother. But he made a great dramatic turn in this movie as a really conflicted Gilbert, who is a teenager, 18 years old or so, dealing with the family, a mom who is massively obese and in this small town, and all goes along with that, and his brother who is autistic and struggles, and yet he strives to be normal but is torn to help the family. I love him in this role. I think he's really good in this role.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio in there, phenomenal.
Oh my gosh,
I had
so good.
no idea who. I thought maybe they had someone that was actually.
There's
autistic.
a lot of people that thought that.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, oh wow, he was acting?
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. And it's tough. He does get overshadowed by DiCaprio, and many people still do.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy him in What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Crazy. He just won an award. Did you hear about that last year?
Yeah, something about him.
Yeah.
Pretty good guy. So what do you have as your number 5, sir?
My number 5 is a tie, which is something you
already.
usually do, but I decided to do it. Ed Wood as Ed Wood and Willy Wonka in the movie Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yes, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is not as good as the original, and no, he is not better than Gene Wilder. I love Gene Wilder, but his character is so interesting. This squeaky clean, happy guy, but you could tell both of them, and both characters, even though they're smiling, even though they're clean, they are troubled. They are disturbed in the background. I think Johnny Depp did a fantastic job at portraying people who are two sides of a coin melded together, so you only see it. You see both sides at the same time. And I thought they were crazy good.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking about before the show. I said, I don't like Johnny Depp in a hat.
Yeah.
Most of his characters that wear hats,
Yeah.
I give a thumbs down to. Jack Sparrow, don't like him.
Just don't.
Characters of his, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe take the hat off. Let's see.
Well, most of Pirates of the Caribbean, he did not have a hat.
He's wearing a bandana.
He had a bandana. That counts.
That's close enough. It's a head covering. All head coverings must go. I don't know what it is. It just works out that way. So my next one, my number 4, is a Brad Pitt role. And this is a movie that I'm not fully on board with. It's a movie that I enjoy part of, but I can't fully commit to this. But his character, Chad Feldheimer from Burn After Reading.
Okay.
He is a personal trainer in this movie. Look at this guy, who is I mean, he is overconfident and totally stupid. He thinks he's uncovered some spy stuff, and he is way in deep, thinking he's going to start blackmailing some spies and all this stuff. And I love his interactions with Frances McDormand in the gym, and he's kind of her only confidant. And he is just over the top stupid, but it works perfectly because he is so confident in who he is. And it leads to what would probably make a list of my favorite death scenes ever. How he dies in this movie, spoiler alert, how he dies in this movie, it makes me laugh every time. And that's sad, but he's great in this movie. In a movie, like I say, in a role in a movie that I'm not in love with, but I love this character.
You are a dark individual.
Kind of. What's yours, sir?
My number 4 is Inglorious Bastards, where Brad Pitt played Aldo Rain.
Look at that guy.
This movie actually works for me when he plays his World War II guy. Brad Pitt, the one thing you could say about all his characters is they do have confidence. He plays a confident guy.
If you look like that, you'd have confidence too.
Oh, yeah. This guy, he's scarred on his neck, and he comes out and he's like, we're going to kill Nazis. And
Nazis.
just the amount of confidence he has in this character just brings this all together. The rest of the movie I could forget about, but his role in this, amazing. Really amazing.
Pretty great. Lieutenant Aldo Rain.
And he tries to redo this guy a little bit too often.
This is the best war movie that he's been in.
Yeah.
This is the top of it.
True.
For my number 3 is another Brad Pitt movie, and this is both a movie that I love and a character that I really love. And it is Detective Mills from Seven. Great movie, and this was really one of the first times where I took notice of how complex of a character he could make it. I mean, this could really be, as the young hothead detective up against Morgan Freeman's very cool veteran thing, it could have been very one-note character, but he showed how flawed this character is and how impulsive he is, and it worked perfectly against Kevin Spacey and Morgan Freeman. And inhabiting that space with those two guys is not easy for an actor to be in there acting against those two guys, and he holds his own, and I just... Every time I watch this movie, I'm kind of blown away by how complex he plays Detective Mills.
This is a movie I can't stop quoting.
Yeah?
Every time I see a box, I have to go,
absolutely.
What's in the box?
Absolutely. And so you see, I mean, the way he plays it throughout the movie, you're torn with him at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
You feel the pain with him at the end of the movie, and do I shoot him or not?
Yeah.
And just, he's great in this movie.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, look,
but you
on.
should have seen it.
This movie's 20+ years old. Stop it. All right, what do you have as your number 3, sir?
Number 3, I'm back to Johnny Depp with Edward Scissorhands, where he plays Edward Scissorhands. He really isn't a vocal role at all. He says nearly nothing. Yeah. But the range of emotion he had made you really feel for this character. And it's heartbreaking and funny at the same time and quirky. And the way he was able to just move and express himself without really expressing too much, it was fantastic. This is a beautiful movie. It's heartbreaking. It makes me laugh. It makes me smile. You get all the gambits of emotion. And I really can't picture anybody else really doing this besides Johnny Depp.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it is my number 2 selection as well, Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, wow.
I echo everything you say. I mean, it is what he's able to pull off with that look and with given no dialogue and the weirdness of this movie, it shouldn't work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it really shouldn't. You take a pretty man like Johnny Depp and you dress him up like this and you give him no way to speak really, and he has to be able to emote with this and these crazy objects on his hands, but it works wonderfully.
This was during a time where he was trying to break out of that pretty bowl.
Yeah, this was just
that was it.
Crybaby, 21 Jump Street.
People are still saying, is it Grieco? Is it Depp?
Right. I mean, he was on the cover of Tiger Beat magazine, and this was a dark role for him to take on, and a really tough role, and he pulled it off amazingly. This was kind of where the Depp-Tim Burton duo really formed and gelled. And I kind of regret that.
Yeah, I like Tim Burton. I like Johnny Depp, but yeah, it seems like they're married at the hip and they're owned by Disney.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, what's your number 2, sir?
Number 2, I have Mickey O'Neill from Snatch.
I love this.
I can't even understand what Brad Pitt is saying most of the time through this movie, but he does it with confidence, and he knows what he's saying. He's a fantastic role, and the fact that he was able to do this accent and talk like this guy, memorize lines that don't make sense, is phenomenal to me. And he's not even a main character. He's like a sub-character.
He's a scene stealer, though.
But it is a scene stealer, and you remember him after you seeing Snatch. And try to quote him.
Good luck.
Good luck.
All right, so my number 1, maybe we can talk about this together, because my number 1, it was easy. It is Tyler Durden from Fight Club.
Oh, okay.
Tyler Durden, I mean, this is one of my favorite movies of all time, one of my favorite characters of all time. He just oozes uber masculinity in this as the guy who is the alter ego of Edward Norton, and the way that he kind of fights against reality and the system, and he's mesmerizing to watch. Yeah. He's kind of the guy, this character, Tyler Durden is kind of the guy who secretly, I think a lot of guys wish they could be. Both in personality, in looks, in attitude, everything.
Well, everything he was doing was just, again, he's a confident person. He has confident characters. This movie wouldn't have worked with anybody else but Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Tyler is not a character that wants to fit in. He is dirty. He is messy. He just grabs anybody's clothes and throws it on. It works for him for some reason because he has the confidence to make it work.
Absolutely.
I remember during this time, there was like photo shoots of Brad Pitt in a summer dress or something like that on the front pages of magazine, which is absurd back then.
Gorgeous.
But for some reason, you're like, oh, I want to get a summer dress just like Brad Pitt. Because I would, of course, look just as good as he does.
Absolutely. So, what do you have at number 1?
You know what? You get something special. I agree with you.
Very
number
good.
1, Tyler Durden
from,
or the narrator. Depends on how you look at him.
That's true. Look at him.
But
selling soap, punching meatloaf in the gut. He's just great.
Running around with
causing chaos,
kitchen gloves on, and still looking cool for some reason.
Man, such a great role. This is
a great movie.
Fight Club's in my top 15 movies.
Yeah.
Favorite movies.
Same here. I still can't stop listening to the Pixies. That one song at the end, I listen to it at least once or twice every week.
Nothing wrong with that. So there you go. It is the definitive list. Tyler Durden is the best performance out of anything that Johnny Depp or Brad Pitt have ever done.
But might as well finish it off. Out of the two characters, who do you still prefer?
Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
Brad Pitt
with
guy.
Me, for some reason, it's still Johnny Depp. I like the meek quirkiness. Even though he's not on my top 2 of characters, I still like Johnny Depp.
Fair enough. Let's take a look ahead at what is going to be coming out the weekend of June 9th. We have 3 movies that will be in the box office that week. The first one is the horror movie starring Joel Edgerton called It Comes at Night.
I am so looking forward to this.
This movie looks really good to me. Really interesting.
It's by A24, so...
Yeah, absolutely. Can't go wrong there. The second one is a movie called Megan Levy. It is about a young girl played by Kate Mara who... is in the military with the K-9 unit, and things happen, and she wants her dog back, and the struggles she goes through for that. And the last one is a movie that stars Tom Cruise. It is another movie trying to jumpstart this Universal Monster universe.
Yeah.
The Mummy is back with Tom Cruise in tow.
And I hear Dwayne Johnson is going to be doing the Wolfman.
Why not? He's in everything. Why
Jolene is doing Frankenstein.
Yeah, Bride of Frankenstein. You bet. So those are the movies that will be on the marquee that week. Before we leave you, we have to thank our sponsor, Marcus Cinemas, The Palace here in Sun Prairie. Thank you for sponsoring this show. There is no greater place on a hot summer day to be than in the air conditioning in a dream lounger watching a movie.
Yep. Just try not to fall asleep. I know they're comfortable, but I hear you.
It is the best. So thank you for sponsoring the show. If you want to find more from us, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at Real Reviews TV. We'll get you there. You can find a whole host of back catalog from us, 162 episodes. If you go to sunprairiemediacenter.com or find us on YouTube, Real Reviews, KSUN, KSUN. We'll get you a whole bunch of episodes live in HD. Can't do worse than that.
Over 80 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
Get it done.
Wow.
So, next week we're going to be talking about Captain Underpants and Wonder Woman.
That's
I'm just going to sing that song. Oh, I love that song.
That's better than that rock music that they have. Yeah, that's our.
But that's going to be on the marquee next week. But until that time, my name is Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.